this.
There you go. You're all fluent now.
Okay, we're live. We are live. Thank you all again for being here. Welcome. I'm really excited about our latest Red Talk. Red Talk stands for really excellent discussion from Redwood City, California. Thanks all for being here. A round of applause.
Yay,
Nice little
in person and
audience
virtually.
in person and people online. If you're joining us online, thank you for joining us. The title of the session is Command and Create: How Content Pros Stay Ahead in an AI First World. Hi, I'm Shane McLaughlin. I'm a content and communications strategist who's had the privilege to run campaigns, lead teams, and tell stories that drive results at several global Fortune 100 brands, including Intuit, Visa, and Walmart. I'm joined by two fantastic people and friends I've had the privilege to know who have done interesting things in the world of content, and we're going to share thoughts on what this AI future has in store for us. And first, I introduce Stephanie Losee, former national journalist. Yes, round of applause, Stephanie. Former national journalist for Fortune PC magazine with an impressive career in content. Stephanie helped launch content marketing at Dell, launched POLITICO's brand content studio, and led content at Visa, and directed global thought leadership at Autodesk. And I had the privilege to work for you at Visa on your team for about 18 months while we launched the Visa blog and did a bunch of cool digital content campaigns. So that was great. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Dave Peck is PayPal's early global head of social media and influencer marketing. That sounds really important because it is.
I made it up.
He made it up.
I just made it up. There had no title for me.
He's a community builder for brands like Coca-Cola, Wells Fargo, author of Think Before You Engage, a book about social media engagement. And he's also the brains behind a very early and influential social media avatar. We'll get to that shortly.
We have to.
Yes. It's interesting. We're live on LinkedIn and we're live on the performance space here at Sound Union. If you're on LinkedIn, feel free to chime in a comment. We're going to have a panelist discussion for some time and then bring in questions from the internet and questions from here in the room. And if you're here, welcome to this awesome space that is Sound Union. This is a wonderful musicians community for creatives and musicians who want to network and play music and record and jam and build stuff, because there are a lot of folks that are doing cool things in tech here too. So especially if you're like me, you don't play golf, but you play music, this is where you want to go.
If I want to Google it, how do I find it? What do I type?
That's why you're here, Dave. Thank you. Soundunion.com. Go to soundunion.com. Take a virtual tour. Redwood City. Yes.
California.
Right here. California. Yes. So both of you have been innovators in the evolution of digital media, and really, like, you were at the forefront of disruption of digital media through the internet, through social, now through AI. And Stephanie, you helped create the notion of brand journalism. And Dave, you helped define how companies and individuals leverage and interact with social media. So I want to start our conversation by going back in time and building the foundation and getting some of the interesting things that you both have done early in your careers, because that'll offer good learnings for this disruption through AI that's happening and totally disrupting content as we know it. So
just disrupted.
Yeah, I know. It's like no time before. Ends. And Stephanie, why don't we talk about your background to start, like how it shaped your career, how you figured out like media as we know it and corporate content as we know it, we're going to come together.
Yeah.
And how did that shape where you went? Yeah.
This little thing called the internet came along, and I had always thought that I would be a journalist. I was one of those kids at 8 years old who would say that I was going to be a writer. And I thought that my whole career was going to be there. I imagined that one day I would be the managing editor of Fortune. And then the disintermediation of media, I am one of a small group of people who figured out what that meant for brands. Mm-hmm. We did not have the word content or marketing. We were calling it like strategic writing, and then we were calling it brand journalism. And so I started to consult to brands, and I did it through my PR friends because I knew so many of them because they would pitch me stories at Fortune. And I would say to them, this thing is happening. I'll do whatever you want. And they'd be like, you'll do whatever I want. Would you write an op-ed as if you were Michael Dell? And then they could place it in the Wall Street Journal, and they would say, oh, magic. And I would say, no, journalism, you know. And so I watched as a few other journalists took these roles as managing editors of brands. So Dan Roth, who is a fellow Fortune alum, became the editor of LinkedIn. That was a big moment. Tomas Kellner, who's a great guy, whose work I have followed for years, became the editor of GE, and he did The Technologist.
Nice.
And so I came to the chief content officer of Dell, who I was consulting for, and I asked her to create this managing editor role for me, and she did. And so I paired up with another similarly minded person, Nicole Mills, at Dell, and I launched this sort of summit of the heads of all kinds of the thing about a place like Dell is that you're like the mayor of a town, and other people who own objectives at different departments are like mayors of towns, and you have to like negotiate with the other mayors to make something happen. And I did this global summit, and they all came. Thank you, Kelly McInnes, who was the one who hired me, because I think that she opened many doors that I did not realize she was opening. And so we had this idea to take over the Solution Center homepage of Dell, where people were already coming for information, and to take it over and make it into this brand journalism channel. And it was off the hook successful. I think it was credited with $1 billion a year of influence pipeline.
Oh, wow.
And if you want to talk about the business case for thought leadership, there it is in one sentence right there. And so I followed other people who had these ideas, and then others followed me, and pretty soon there was content marketing.
That's awesome. A great background. And Dave,
Yeah,
you've also done some innovative things with video, with social media, and with the notion of what goes viral. Can you talk a little bit about both PayPal and what you've done in social?
Sure. I'm going to kind of take the way you told the story.
Sure.
So first of all, I want to say I'm just lucky. Right place, right time. I don't think I'm that smart, just dumb luck, right? So I call myself an early adopter geek, basically. I always want to be the first guy to try stuff out. So the first wave of podcasting came along. I got involved in that. Mind you, I'm just in a brick and mortar job here selling insurance, minding my own business. And one thing led to another, and I was listening to this podcast. They were talking about something called, this is what you want to get into, Second Life.
Yeah.
Anybody remembers that? And most people are like, what is that? I think Sims Controlled by You, early Sims, for lack of a better term. And so I logged into that to play around with it. And yet at the time you had to figure out, what do you want your avatar to be? So I'll do what any normal person would. I'll be a hot blonde. So Brittany magazine next to me.
She really was hot, though.
She really was.
Yeah.
I get that a lot. And People magazine had Britney Spears. You get to assign the last name. Well, basically it's just a cesspool of just horny guys, right? So I'm like, I'm kind of over this.
Yeah.
One thing leads to another. The podcast I'm listening to by a guy named Adam Curry. If anybody's old enough to know MTV,
Yeah, of course.
So Adam's like, come meet me in Second Life. Go in there. I meet him, show him how to work everything. We're hustling virtual land. Can't touch it, can't feel it, can't take it with you. I'm making $3,000 a month in US because they're doing their own currency. And that would later, by the way, become virtual goods, right? This is your virtual, skins, things like the kids do now on the kids, like I'm that old, PlayStation, all that. All of a sudden the brands start rushing in going, hey, we don't understand it, but we know we can do some advertising here. I get hired by Coke to help them launch their first virtual thing. And you got Home Depot coming in. Now I'm making even more dollars, right? But wait, they've got to pay me. They think I'm a girl. There's no Skype, by the way, at this point. Virtual Skype, at least.
Wow.
Video, sorry. So I use my wife's name and stuff so we can get paid. One thing leads to another thing. And a lady reaches out to me, says, from Berkeley, can you help us develop virtual campus, basically? Sure, but you're right over in Berkeley. I'm a guy. Let me tell you the truth. I walk him through it. She says, I got a friend working on a documentary about Second Life. Can she come over? So I talked to her. She'll come over to the house. So at this point now I'm thinking, okay, the documentary crew's going to come over. I guess I got to tell my wife what I've been up to. Mind you, I've been using her name. Honest to God truth. I remember where I was standing and everything. I said, by the way, here's all this. So I explained to her what I've been doing. What are you talking about? And what's happening? I give her the checks because I couldn't cash the checks, obviously. Remember, there's no Venmo. This is earlier. No
Paper
Gmail, no
checks.
nothing, right?
Yeah.
Do that. So the next morning, she gets the house ready. The next morning, NBC News pulls up. Wait a second. I thought this was a documentary. What the heck happened? Peter Alexander from the Today Show walks in. What's going on? Basically, they pivoted the whole thing. Instead of Goods Christmas, they wanted to do it on Second Life and Me, our documentary. You ever watch like Today's Show and they do the whole they teach you for like 3 minutes, and then you got to watch on MSNBC tonight at 8. That was me.
Yeah.
From there, things take off. I'm getting, they all work for Stella McCartney, Sergio Rossi, just going to, hired gun basically.
Wow.
And then one thing leads to another. End up at PayPal, where they hired me, as you've already talked about, the first head of social, global head of social. And then I brought in influencer marketing. Right? I'm looking for trends. I'm always looking for trends, early adopter stuff. And so Brittany Mason got me my career basically, and
Does she
lots
have a
of weird
future?
stuff.
Does she have a future in AI?
Every now and then, everybody asks me, and every
Yes.
now and then I check in, make sure she's alive.
She's still
About
there.
AI, I don't think so. No, she doesn't understand.
Because Second Life could be overtaken by Roblox and all these other Meta,
Well, that's
all these
all
other platforms, right?
It really, Meta is a great example.
Yeah.
I mean, it's virtual reality before there was virtual reality, right? I mean, a lot of PR people here, I think, in content, I remember they launched the very first virtual PR, and they had an office there, and they had the meeting. Well, you could do what would be later become FaceTime and Zoom, right? Because you could actually talk over audio and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so, yeah, there's a lot of firsts there. And the other thing I want to say about it before I stop because I could talk for hours, ruined you.
It's
Is
interesting.
all the goobers, for lack of a better term, that I played Second Life would go on to do amazing things. Evan Biz would start this little company called Twitter. I don't know if anybody knows iJustine. She what I'm talking. She got the iPhone. Remember, the iPhone's not out yet. She got the bill that came like this big and did a YouTube. She's a very successful YouTube blogger. One gentleman went on create a company called Vaughn, what later became called Vonage.
Yes.
Remember the phone?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
I do.
This guy named Marks. I don't know what happened to him. Zuckerberg. I don't know what
I don't
he
know where
did.
he ended up.
Robert Scoble, if
guy.
anybody knows Robert.
Robert,
Yeah, I just saw him. Well, you saw him at the AI events probably with Jeremiah.
I used to go to his birthday party.
We don't talk about that.
No, we don't.
Jeremiah Oyang, Brian
Sure.
Solis. We were all there. This is, early 2000s.
Oh, wow.
I just
Okay.
totally name drop. I apologize, but I'll stop there now.
Well, it's why you both are innovative in this area. You can see the disruptions coming, and that's why we're talking about the next one, which is AI.
Yeah.
And one thing we did as kind of a little practice for this session was we all went in and we went into AI and we said, tell me about me. And it's an interesting exercise when you ask it, because you pick your platform that I use GPT, but Gemini, Claude, all kinds of other ones. But when I put in, tell me about me, I was pleasantly surprised that it really got my LinkedIn profile, which is my professional personality, and I was glad to see that, because as we know, AI can hallucinate, and if you work a lot in it, it might take different data points that are synthesized in a way that doesn't work. But what it also said, there's a personal section, and we're going to go through each one of you guys too, but there's a personal section. They said a little bit more on personal vibes, and said, I love a good metaphor, clever wordplay, and finding meaning in work and life, which I thought was good. And then I value empathy, authenticity, and purpose, not just in my writing, but in how I lead and collaborate. So I didn't necessarily tell it these things, but it was probably pulling them out of the general themes from the writing and the various things that I've been doing with AI. So that's a little bit about me. But Steph, how did it go for you when you did that?
When I did that prompt, it could totally tell that I have limited what it knows about my personal life. So it did not mention my 3 daughters. It did not mention my partner. It did not mention even where I live, which I thought was interesting. No, it said, you are a visionary content marketing founder who has launched, the content marketing practices of several major brands.
Yeah.
So it was, a little boilerplatey,
True.
which
That's true.
is, which is how it sometimes
Doing it
goes.
right now. Sorry.
Oh, wait. You didn't do your homework? We did the homework.
It's all right.
So mine is scary and has a photo too, by the way. What does it say?
That's an old picture from Brittany
It
Mason.
is. It's pulling from somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm a marketing executive, PayPal, go global head. It knows that I have 5 kids. It knows my wife's name. Early adopter. Scary, actually. A couple of my former careers. How long I worked at the companies.
Okay. Wow.
And I like sarcasm and I have dry humor. I did not know that, actually. And I'm a nerd. It actually literally says equal part Star Wars nerd, roast master, and pulp culture junkie.
I like your result much
Well,
better.
because I'm using it for conversations, to write emails.
Right.
Oh, see.
So it's pulling all that data. But I think, not to take away from the host here, but we're missing the overall, what do you call it, the umbrella here.
No, please take it.
it knows a lot of stuff, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
So every time you type in there, it's keeping it. Let's not forget, ChatGPT is, I'm going to use the word global for lack of a better term. It's not like it's owned by a company's AI, right? Where the stuff says gated. This is not gated content.
Right.
I'm not trying to freak anybody out. It's no different than posting on Facebook or anything, which everyone's done. I don't care. You can hate all you want, but you know you did it. And it's keeping that data, and other people can access it in theory, depending on the settings and all that. And I bet you 50% of people have not messed with the settings.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good practical question, because my next one was going to be around a hack, because I wanted to queue up a couple of softballs to get us going, and then we'll go deeper on the ethical stuff and on IP and things that we've talked about. But what would you recommend for others to make sure? Sorry, I won't bump the mic. What would you recommend for others to make sure that it doesn't take too much from you, and what kind of settings do you rely on in terms of limiting it?
No, I mean, obviously I did the right, I mean, I did what we're talking about, right? Because it only knew about my personal life. It knew about, I take it back, it knew about my conflict with my corrupt contractor, which my friends know about. But that's just because I've put in, okay, so I have to do this lawsuit and no. And I was like, but if you don't put it in, it doesn't spit it out.
Correct.
So that's a pretty simple guideline right there, right?
Yeah, and I hope I'm answering your question, but what pops in my head is back to my comment about, I would bet more than 75% of companies now have their own AI. So if you keep work and personal separate, that's the best way to do it. You know, so use, making this up, ChatGPT if you want for personal, anything copyrighted, trademark, company, proprietary within that company thing. So at Accusure, we have our own, and we're a product called Oris, and we try to keep, you know, help us with work, emails, whatever, you keep it over there. You know what I mean? Because if I upload a spreadsheet to ChatGPT from work, it's probably out there if you don't go and mess with some settings. And even then, you know how that goes. I think of some companies that have lawsuits right now over, we weren't going to sell your data.
Yeah, that's true.
Sold your data and charged you for that.
Wow. Okay. No, that's really interesting. And did you have something to add to that? Or?
No.
Okay. Oh, no worries. Because that's a nice lead into this idea that like there's a data deluge that's going to come. And next year, even, you know, last week, Mark Zuckerberg announced that all of Meta's ads next year would be Gen AI generated, and there would not be any upload your brand, like no human in the loop. And in 5 years, IDC and Deloitte have said 90% of content on the internet is going to be either AI generated or AI assisted. So
yeah, and that's going to go so well. Because having more junk content is just what's going to gain that attention that brands want. See, you were talking about what lessons we learned from being founders that can be applied now. There's one right there. Because when we were, you know, when content marketing was being born, there was this other thing called sponsored content that was also being born. And at the time, some people were calling it advertorial. And it was super advertorial-ish. And I thought that was so weird because I was thinking about, you know, what the disintermediation of media means for brands. What do I mean by that? I mean, what I mean is that, you know, the publications used to own audiences. So, of course, brands had to go to them in order to reach audiences. Now, they didn't. That's how they got to be journalists themselves or brand publishers. So, okay, so sponsored content. Now it's a different kind of content that's going to be served to publications' audiences. And so what they wanted to do was to hide the fact that they were the creators of this branded content. At first, this is how it started, right? So here you are, you're clicking away, you think you found some nice article, some editorial piece that you really did want to read. And then at the end, it says, just kidding, hi, this is from a brand. And I thought that was so strange because are you trying to build a bridge or are you trying to break a bridge, right? So I start to go on stages at South by several times, and like Content Marketing World had just started and all these places, and all of the, like Google had me in Warsaw, like all these places trying to plead my case that you should think of this completely differently, brands. You should think of it more like a Super Bowl ad We all love Super Bowl ads. We know they're ads, but we
Yeah.
talk about them the next day. Even
Yeah.
today, we are still talking about them. So think of it as this treat. You know, you have this budget. Newspapers don't have this budget anymore. You can do these great things and then give it, like make it this value exchange with customers or with audiences, right?
Mhm.
And so that's how I ended up launching paid posts with the New York Times, because that was what they were going for. But I bring it all back to what we were just talking about. If you use AI to create a bunch of junk, how do you think that doing the same thing that's happened over and over again is going to get you some different outcome from what we thought? Now, I'm not saying, I'm not being an anti-AI person. I use it every single day, not
Yeah.
for my personal life, which is what ChatGPT didn't know,
Yeah.
me very well, but it's a tool. And there are places where it's going to replace humans. There are many, many jobs it's going to displace, just like the internet did.
Mhm.
It transformed everything. But humans are still going to be here. And it's not going to be like, oh, humans, what little thing are we going to give them to do that bots can't do? It's not like that, because, well, that's the rest of our discussion, isn't it? So there's
Right.
my little speech that I
Exactly.
have made.
Well, and that's interesting too, because it seems like there's two types of AI, and I'm oversimplifying, but GPT has 500 million users in
Yeah.
only a couple years. Like, that's mind blowing.
It's astonishing.
But then these companies, like, what was the name of your company again?
Acrisure?
Acrisure, yes.
Acrisure, yes.
You have an LLM.
Acrisure trademark.
My last employer had an LLM. Autodesk had an LLM, and
Yeah.
they're contained more or less because they have confidential data from their customers. So what do you maybe start with Stephanie? What do you think that means for a content professional working Autodesk wherever? Like, how would the teams you manage change based on these internal LLMs?
Well, these internal LLMs are like white labeled GBT, right?
Right,
And
right.
so you're training them. The thing I don't understand, maybe somebody in the audience knows, it is the white labeled LLM at any given company learning as fast as GBT-4? Like, is it being? I don't know if it is.
Good
Do you
question.
know?
I can't.
Is it 4?
It's 4.0 right
But
now.
ours was not 4. The reason I'm
That's the most
asking
common
is,
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it didn't seem to be as smart as tools I was using outside.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I think the problem that CMOs are having right now, and I really feel for them, is that we employees want to use every new tool that we're finding about every other week on Thursday at 4:00 in the afternoon. I mean, that's how fast it's changing.
Yeah.
And no sooner does a colleague tell me that all their friends are using Jasper and they love Jasper, then somebody else tells me, oh, Jasper is over because ChatGPT, met Jasper's match. You don't need Jasper. And these poor CMOs need to provision us, and they can't possibly move fast enough.
Mhm.
When we were being asked at Autodesk to innovate as fast as possible, we didn't have a single vendor who could program and prompt engineering. We were talking about that. Now we don't anymore, but it couldn't code. What I was trying to do was to take a huge survey with respondents from around the world and ask it to identify data points, which is a perfect use case for that. But you can't just load it into ChatGPT. It hallucinates wildly. Like, it doesn't know what it's doing. We did put it into the LLM, and we did 2 questions just to compare its accuracy, and it did a great job of assessing one question, and then the similar question was flipped. It hallucinated wildly, and we asked it, why did you do that? Why did you do the right thing over here and the wrong thing? It literally wrote, because I felt like it.
What?
Yeah, so
Wow.
it was so tooty. I mean, my goodness.
That's a little scary.
I know, right?
Okay, so a lot to unpack here. So I want to go back to the original question.
Yes.
The module, look, are they white labeled? Are they built in house? No, we don't know. Around AI, right? Like, how fast is it learning? It's all relative to the company, the investment, what's it built on, all that kind of stuff. That's the first one. Yes, it's changing every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I want to be super clear. I do not think AI is going away. It is here to stay.
Of
course.
Yeah.
Is it going back to Zuck? I feel like I've said his name 5 more times today than I have in a month. It's not going to be unmanned. There's no way. It's going to, how's Metaverse working for you, by the way, buddy? Remember, you changed the name of the company and everything like that.
Yeah.
You don't hear about that anymore,
No, we
right?
don't.
So I don't think 95% of the content is going to be made by AI. Someone's got to check it. It's not going to be right. The vendors are going to get, the big brands are going to be pissed because it doesn't represent their brand right.
Yeah.
It's going to take several years. Could it get there? Sure. I mean, this stuff's amazing what's going on. We haven't even got into agents yet,
Yeah, we
things
haven't
like
even
that.
talked about agentic AI.
Yeah. So
Sure.
it's here to stay, but it's not there. It's not moving as fast. It's moving fast. I agree with you on that, but not as fast as some of these big brands like back to Facebook wanted to move or think it is.
And maybe we're thinking about content that's created by brands for social media, but we should be thinking more about the agents. And the agents are they were rumored to be kind of taking over the internet this year, and the agents, just for the benefits of everyone here and online, these bots that would be able to do mundane tasks for you, even shop for you, book your flight, negotiate with other bots on websites to buy things. And Walmart recently announced that they were actually looking at their website to accommodate these bots, these non-human agents. What does that mean? Does that mean that they don't need images like human shoppers need? Does that mean we have two different kinds of audiences to serve as content folks? So let's unpack that a little bit. What do you think?
I want to give a little more color there.
Sure.
So that's what I like to do, by the way.
Please do.
I'll be the John Madden.
Give me, yeah.
So you're probably talking to agents, not even realizing it all the time. And some of them identify as, I'm your virtual assistant here at Aetna or whatever, right? But when those phone calls ring, I don't know about you guys, but I get all these spam calls. Those are all agents. And some of them are really good. There's an event,
voice agents.
Voice agents
talking to you.
Yes.
They can talk and have a
they
conversation.
Wow. Without those pauses and
Okay.
wait, it processes.
That's amazing.
I mentioned Jeremiah Ouyang, who I think is one of the smartest people I know. And he puts on these events called Llama Lounge. They're all AI events about once every couple months here in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
They're huge. People
It's
are flying
amazing.
in from all around the world.
Wow.
They pick 10 companies to demo their products for everybody. And in theory, hopefully get funded, awareness. You could probably talk about it too.
I was there 2 months ago. I think we violated fire laws.
Yeah.
At Stanford.
Oh, boy.
I'm not kidding.
Oh yeah, the one at Stanford. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that was so
there's
overfilled.
people making emotion. I saw one where, so you're mad at the agent about customer service or whatever the case may be. It will have the right pack to respond with, wow, I'm really sorry. Or, I'm glad you're happy. It has those inflection points. Incredible. Another one that's going to process the payment. So back to your Walmart example.
Yeah, right.
Now you can have an agent talk to an agent, get that item, process the payment out of your bank account. I don't know.
It's a little
I'm
scary.
simplifying this, and all done in matter of seconds. Remember, they're moving fast too.
Yeah.
Right. And then my other favorite one, and I couldn't believe this one. This one guy was demoing AI will file your taxes for you. Okay. And I'm like, yeah, but the government's not going to let that out. So no, it's already approved. We're the only approved AI tax plan by the United States government. IRS stock up. Like, what? Head explode right there. Now, who's inputting it all and all that? I have questions.
Yeah.
So it's all happening around you, and it's incredible. I mean, I don't even think I answered your question. I just want to tell stories. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing.
Good stories.
And so,
What do you
I don't know what you saw there, but
Yeah.
I mean, all these different.
No, but at the
lounges.
same time, the original question that you asked, it's like, here we are all on the ground. And I could tell one story that I've witnessed this to in the actual room, which is that, localization. You would think that is the lowest of the low hanging fruit, right? You would think that problem is solved. So we actually had problems with our colleagues in China and South Korea and Japan, because we had a vendor who localizes content first through AI, and then they have a human editor, and the human editor does check for phrases. They know how you should talk to certain industries, phrases you should use so that you sound super smart and relevant, and also ways to show respect in Japan, things of that nature. And then this content gets to our Japanese or Chinese colleagues, and they're like, I can't publish this. And they're upset, like they're emotional about how far off they feel it is after all of that.
Wow.
So, before we can get to the shiny future, we have to slog through this moment where it's in transition and it requires some humans, and we have to make sure that what comes out the other end doesn't embarrass your brand or insult Japanese executives or any
You need
number of
eyeballs,
other.
yeah. You need real people still.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how fast it's moved. And I would almost, to use a metaphor, do we throw the baby out with the bathwater? Because just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Chicago Sun-Times, one of the biggest newspapers in the country, published a list of summer reading books, 10 of which didn't even exist.
That's right.
They
I
were
heard that.
generated by AI. And so we're,
Oops.
I know. Well, and that also probably goes to the fact that journalism has just been decimated because of the internet and things. But obviously, there's some governance there's still a long way to go to make sure these things don't happen, because this could only continue.
So I just want to say though, that's today.
Yeah, right.
It's
Oh,
going to get
yeah.
solved for, guys.
Okay.
I hate to tell you all this.
Okay.
Everything you just came up is going to be solved for. You
Yeah.
still have the problem of content and no people looking at it and company. It's it's coming. Like I said,
Right.
Yeah.
It's just not quite moving. Like I think one of you said, we've only been at this, what, 2 years, maybe. But and so look where we're at. Give it another year or two, that problem will be solved by AI.
Do you
Sorry to
think
be a
so?
hater, but I'm
Because
just telling you the truth.
I don't know. Stephanie said something when we talked before about creativity, and creativity is the beating heart of content. I probably took it out. Probably got it wrong, but I don't know necessarily that AI can necessarily be exactly like a human being, because we are so kind of unpredictable, creative in our own personalities. Do you think? I mean, I like to unpack the creativity as the heart that AI can't replicate. And do you think that at some point, to Dave's point, AI will usurp us creatively, or we're always going to be sort of the sole creators?
Well, this is an existential question.
Yeah, right. Now we're going deep.
Can AI create art? Yes.
Yeah.
AI can do creative things. Is AI an artist? I would say not yet, and not anytime soon. So, like Joan Didion, do you think that there's an AI that's going to become the future Joan Didion? Joan Didion will always be Joan Didion. And is there a place for novelists and painters? And yeah, there is.
Mhm.
And so, as with all things, there will be the distinction between human creativity and AI creativity. So AI can ape Joan Didion, but I think there's always, the hunger for that level of spark that only a human and a human's experience can generate in terms of art.
So I do agree with you on one level. By the way, this was not planned to have a debate. We were
No,
seeing
no.
eye to
No,
eye.
I mean, I
debate's
hope we
good.
have a
here.
debate.
I just think so I agree with you in a way. The person that has that spark, I love that, by the way, will input that into AI. Here's what I'm looking for. It gives it the guidance, and then AI creates that article, content, whatever you want to call it. So there's a relationship there. So that won't go away. But eventually, remember, it's always learning. We already learned that with Who Am I, right?
Yeah.
It's going to get close. It won't never get there. I agree. I don't think so, at least. So there goes, if you had 100 people doing that job, 50 of them are gone now.
Oh, no, I agree with that. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, at this exact moment, I think we're seeing quite a lot of, wishful layoffing.
Right.
Where, they're eliminating jobs before the jobs are being
Back
done
to Facebook,
by
right?
AI.
Yeah.
But so many Bay Area companies. Yeah. It's kind of aspirational. So I think you're right. They'll get there. But it's going to be a
We're not
painful
debating. We're
2 or
agreeing.
3
Okay.
years where the remaining humans are having to do the jobs of
Skynet
14
is here.
people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to get in. I know we talked about the regulations that are needed. Tons of lawsuits are being filed. The Hollywood writer's strike was resolved with somewhat of a positive in that the writers were still protected from AI in terms of their creativity. So
But there is a caveat down there where they get to play around with it, though.
yes,
The writers know that some of their scripts will be used.
and that's
see.
scary too from
Yeah.
a creative point of view, because what's not to stop a studio from saying, give me one episode and I'm just going to upload it to GPT and get 10 more.
I
Well,
think
that was part of the sorry,
Yeah,
but that was
right.
part of they can't do that right now. So
Right,
yes.
right, exactly.
No, I was just going to say, I think they must already be doing it with And Just Like That. Is anyone else
Yeah, right. Yeah.
hate watching the Sex and the City reboot and Just Like That? So I am hate watching it. I am. And every time I watch it, I think this is what it's going to be like when AI writes scripts. The characters have no integrity. They're not the same people they were in the older versions of the people they were in the original ones. All the dialogue is so flat, there's no humor. There is no spark in that whole thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, go on Reddit. There are entire communities of hate watchers of Sex and the City talking about how these were, beating hard people. We really Carrie Bradshaw is the least likable character I know, right? But we still sort of love her, and that's not, like you said, in 2 years. I hope And Just Like That gets better, because I think they'll just keep taking the money
I don't know if it'll be around
for
in 2
years. But
Yeah. Another thought.
I mean, you're talking about the Writers Guild, but then there's books being uploaded, there's lawsuits, newspaper articles. Any content that can be used to teach the AI. And so people are trying to say, well, I should get paid for that.
Right.
I wrote the article. Now why am I not? So those are your lawsuits that are floating around. Some have been settled, some have not, but the Writers Guild it's incredible.
Disney went after Midjourney, and there were Midjourney photos of Homer Simpson, Darth Vader, the Minions.
Yeah.
That
was this week.
Exact.
Yeah, last week.
And like how the fail safes aren't in place for that to happen is amazing, but shows you how good the model is. It wants to please so much. That's pretty scary. But on the flip side, is it like you think about streaming, right? Streaming brought kind of feudalized, for lack of a better word, digital fiefdoms, right? You got Paramount, Netflix, blah, blah, blah. It's almost now Disney is rumored to be creating its own AI. All their licensed content together, they own it. They can just pull from it as much as they want. Like that's also a little
IP.
scary. Yeah, it's their IP, so they can do that. And do you think that is more likely to happen from the point of view of the entertainment business and content creators there?
Will they be pulling from it, you mean? Or?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just
why would you reinvent the wheel when you've got content that you can just create more episodes and things like that, less investment, things like that.
Right.
And back to your other comments, lesson though, the streaming, right?
Right.
Okay, so we all had traditional TV. They all put $1 billion, everybody's nodding their head, they know where I'm going with this, into the streaming, and everybody's going to go online and watch.
Yeah, they didn't.
Now they're, HBO, and Showtime are going to separate again, and Max is now going to be called HBO Max. It's all going back to where it was, and now they're taking all the content they were doing online, putting in traditional media so they can get more views, because less people are now watching online than some of the traditional networks that are failing. What does that tell us? Back to AI and what we were talking about the future here, right? They're all hoping that content will be done by AI. I'm also going to call it right now, in about 5 years, that there's going to be a lot more people in those jobs than they think, and AI will be somewhere in the background. But what's old is new again, right? Isn't that what they say?
Right.
It comes around, circle of
contracts
life.
and expands.
Come up
Contracts and expands.
Come up with a cliche right there.
Well, that's a good way to end, or to move toward our Q&A with a little positive news. And I hope we got some questions ready to go. Anybody? Sanjay, anybody?
God, they're all stamping on
anyone
each
online?
other.
We got one online.
Questions.
Okay, good. Because this has been awesome, and thank you. But a paper, I even have it. I'm such a geek. This article in the Wall Street Journal.
A physical paper. How did
you
even
look
get
at
that?
You watching
Physical
online
Wall
that are in
Street
your
Journal.
20s or
It has
30s.
12
This
pages
is called
on
a
it.
newspaper.
Look at
It's
this.
all content. It's
I
pre-internet.
love it.
I didn't know they still made these things.
I don't think I knew either.
Wait, before you go, how much did you pay for that? I got to know. $2 now? What are they?
I think the Wall Street Journal is probably like, I don't know, $5.
They're $5 now. Okay.
Because they import it, I got a subscription.
Just
I'm not even sure what. Yeah. But Apple calls today's AI. There's a new report, titled "The Illusion of Thinking." Generative AI can be quite useful in specific applications and a boon to worker productivity. OpenAI claims 500 million users, but these critics argue there's a hazard in overestimating what it can do and making business plans, policy decisions, and investments based on pronouncements that seem increasingly disconnected from the products themselves.
Apple said this?
Apple said this.
Do you know why Apple said that, first of all?
Because they want Siri to work.
Because their AI sucks and they're taking another swipe at it. It's the truth. No,
I love it.
I see people not. I mean, really,
It does.
if any company that should be a leader in AI, it is not working for them. I don't know if you watched the developer thing the other day. I mean, they're going back to they will never admit it. In my opinion, what they're doing is going back to the drawing board.
Okay.
So they're biased, first of all.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Sour
And by the
grapes, I
way,
like it.
this is what users 500 million. Is that what they said?
Yeah, GPT's got.
How do you
500
define
million.
that? How long are they online? Who are these people?
Yeah.
How many hits?
Have-
I could play this game all day
Right.
long.
Yes, we could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
10
Okay.
seconds, 2 words.
That's a good game.
Okay.
So the numbers
Yeah.
are inflated. I agree with that.
So that's interesting. So you think they're just trying to play catch up, and
I absolutely AI Apple is.
does that give you hope? That article stuff?
I just think that we already know how this is going to play
Yeah,
out.
right.
I don't think any of this is a mystery. I mean, some of the details, exactly how it will play, are a mystery, but this has happened in different forms over and over and over again. The Industrial Revolution was, in our, great grandparents' lifetime or
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, this is not a mystery. It's just that, as you said, it will have these weird moments that we can't anticipate what exactly those weird moments will be. And then regulation, I mean, the United States is not big on that, but we have our European friends and they tend to
Yeah.
care about these things. And then we have to align with them because we're global companies. So somebody is going to make sure that some of the right things happen. Those lawsuits are very promising because, I mean, one of my friends is Julia Shears. She wrote Jesus Land, which is being made into a movie. And if you go to earliest ChatGPT and say, please write a book as if you are, just like Julia Shears, it could do it. And she was appalled to find that out because nobody gave her any money.
Right.
And she's a writer, journalist. I mean, she's making a living day by day through being paid for writing. And that is not okay in any world. So yes, I mean, it's the United States. Lawsuits are going to happen. The lawsuits will have consequences. Europe is going to regulate. We're going to have to align. Like, it's not like we don't know what's going to happen in its broad strokes.
So it needs guardrails, just like it has for I can't upload a picture of you today in theory and have you do, dress like Dr. Seuss or something.
Yeah.
There's guardrails for that kind of. So maybe copying people's copyrighted intelligent IP is what I'm looking for. I don't know what that looks like. That's a little out of my wheelhouse, but that's probably what's going to need to happen next.
And also protecting independent creators because they don't have deep pockets and lawyers. Your friend who's writing a book that maybe made a splash at one time, like how does she protect it for the future? Right. Is there a class action that's going to come out of this? I mean, already the Writers Guild Association probably set some precedents there.
And I was going to say, thinking about your friend here for a minute. So if the AI can write in her style in a book, that means somewhere in the interwebs or in an AI, someone either uploaded the book, it's either out there floating on the web for free because how does it know to do that?
No, it ingested a whole.
But that's my point. That's her content it ingested and now is using to create more content. That's your lot. I mean, that's not right.
No,
that's all I'm getting.
How do we?
I mean, I do know what we all should do. We all know what we should do, which is we have to stay in it. We cannot miss a day. That's what I know we should do. So, I have friends who say, "Oh, I tried it, hallucinated, it was stupid, whatever." I'm like, dude, oh my God, every single day we have to stay in this, as if we're watching our own child, because that's how we're going to be a participant instead of someone that this is done to.
And it's pretty amazing how you can discover different. Sanjay here introduced me to Notebook LM.
Oh yeah.
I told him I'd give him a shout out, which is a free Google product.
Yes.
Which I uploaded an hour and a half long interview a couple of weeks ago, and it just broke the thing out perfectly. Like GPT won't let you give you that much space.
Yeah.
So we've got to keep chatting, using it, being productivity, trying new things.
There's so many. To your point earlier, it changed. How can a CMO keep up? It changes every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
There's
Well, and to pivot, and then we'll go to questions. I think it's fascinating that Johnny Ive, the famous designer of the iPhone, who allegedly maybe feels a little guilty that we're all so distracted now by what he created, which was so successful. 1459. Okay, thank you. That's all right. He was so, and he's been recruited by Anthropic to create OpenAI. Apologize. To create a screenless device, which rumor has it will be like some kind of iPod shuffle like thing going around your neck. That, I mean, I don't even know how that's going to talk to you, and it's all interesting. But like, maybe I'll throw it out to both of you as to like, where do you think it's going to go in terms of the hardware, the experience, and then throw it out to Sanjay or anyone else who wants to make a comment.
So it would be like the movie Her then,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That gets a picture in your mind because they were not on their screens. They had a little tiny thing. It mostly was speaking to them. Or
Mhm.
Black Mirror. This is going to be a little Black Mirror, right? Where you have
Phil Jones, Rashada Jones.
the
Oh, right.
right on your.
That
Yeah.
show is so creepy. It really is.
My first comment to that is unsubscribe. I don't want anything to do with the hardware.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Google Glasses again.
Oh boy.
How'd that work out?
Hey, the Meta Ray-Bans are cool though.
Style.
Yeah.
It's here to stay.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, it's in your house, Alexa, right?
Mhm.
I mean, mine doesn't work right, but it's a glorified speaker, but whatever.
Mhm.
But that means it's listening to you. It
Yeah.
knows too much about you.
Uh-huh.
I mean, people are up and think the government knows too much about you, and now you got this. Nah,
Yeah.
People will use it though, but a lot of people won't. Too soon, too fast.
It's going to take away the like this. We got to get our kids the conversation, the art of the conversation and discovery, and that's I don't think any technology can ever replace that because that's what makes us unique. Sorry,
Yeah,
and,
well, there's one thing that we can all do, which is Rhodes scholars have studied to find any defining like commonalities among Rhodes scholars, right? They only found one. It's family dinners. That's it.
Love it.
And anybody can do family dinners, and so AI can't do family dinners. I don't see how it's ever going to do family dinners. You might have a robot dog, cooking things, but you can sit around a table and make sure your kids know the art of conversation.
Yep,
And then
put the
one day
phones
they
away.
can be on a panel for Red Talk. Just think
Yeah,
of the
Red Talk.
possibilities.
We do a Red Talk on family dinners.
There you
That'd
go.
be great. Yes. Okay, we'll go to questions, and we got about 12 minutes left. We have a question, John, and we have a mic for the audience if anyone has one too, right?
We do. You want to do the question from the audience first,
Yeah.
or from the internet first?
Let's do the internet first. Yeah.
All right. About 20 minutes ago, Anderson Gaither,
Yes.
MBA, wrote
He's an
in
MBA.
at
Good
some
guy,
point,
good
and
friend.
this is back to the modeling based on other people's content question that you guys were talking about with the novels. I think this is appropriate from the business standpoint. So Anderson writes, at some point along the journey, a brand's content moves from internal, employee facing, to external, customer facing. How do established brands ensure their content strategy remains proprietary to the company and not appropriated by smaller upstart brands that rely heavily on AI for their operations?
I don't think they can. I don't think they will.
Wow.
I mean, you can ask ChatGPT for a content strategy and it will spit out a perfectly decent, if generic content strategy. I mean, what we're all doing is we are using our white label in-house GBT to work on our content until it is live. And then it is out in the world and, can be ingested by any of these LLMs and turned into a content strategy for other people. That doesn't really bother me. I mean, I want everyone to understand content strategy. We're all going to need one for our personal brands. I don't,
I mean, do we need AI to know what Coke's content strategy is, or Nike?
We
Just
don't.
do it. I mean, we already kind of know what it is in a way. I mean, you can maybe slow the train down by back to using your internal AI and not let it outward. Don't feed the beast, basically, is what I'm getting at, and keeping people and pivoting. But it's already out there. I can tell you.
For executive engagement, you can certainly limit your release to this circle, this community of executives. Like if you're doing an account-based marketing strategy, and that would keep some of it from. But it's not like, as you said, but you can't divine it without LLM.
You might not be able to see the pillars and the mission statements and all that stuff in the playbook. There you go.
The playbook, right?
Yeah. So
in some ways, if that brand is preserved, you think about like Kleenex. Everything's a Kleenex. Xerox,
Q-tip,
Band-Aid,
Q-tip, Band-Aid,
yeah,
Coke,
yeah.
But you just don't want that smaller company to take it or to repurpose it.
I just think this is interesting. I watched a thing on the Jordan shoes recently. I talked about the history where Michael's involved.
Yeah.
And when they were doing the interview, the guy who was in charge of the Jordan that comes out every year showed the playbook, would not open it. There are only like 5 or 6 people were allowed to see the playbook around the Jordan shoes. So that's how you keep it locked down, right? Here's the rest of the company. You're not getting the Air Jordan playbook. It was all on paper. They don't put it in the computer and all. I thought it was really fascinating.
Pretty fascinating.
But again, on the field, you can see these things playing
could
out.
probably
Right? It's like
figure it
Moneyball,
out.
right?
Yeah.
You know, it was
So jump higher, move faster.
Moneyball was private, and then
styling.
everybody is
Yeah.
making the same calculations using the same methods. I mean, you can't keep these things
It's true.
secret for too long, can you?
It's almost like you keep it in that book just to create buzz so that people buy the shoes. Like there's
Right.
probably nothing
And
secret
here
about it.
I'm talking about it right now.
And
right?
here we are,
Here we
right?
are.
They got their moment.
To dozens of people out there. So thank you. Yes. Anyone in the room? Any questions? Anything else online? Yes, please.
I'm curious, and I have a feeling it's going to be different for our two panelists. If you imagine
Feedback.
You're live in the room. Yeah.
if you imagine a future where AI is used in its best way for content, it's stopped hallucinating. Maybe let's dream big. What does that look like? Like, what do you think that looks like?
Oh God, it could solve all the world's problems. I mean, no, think about it, right? If it's really doing the right things with data, couldn't it identify pockets, impoverished people who are starving, figure out where there is, too much food being created, like in the United States, and how we can, how it could, if we trained it to balance goods and services of needy people versus overserved people, what could it do? If it solved climate change for us, if it cured cancer by triangulating data points and figured out more cures. I mean, I can think of way more great outcomes than I can, and that's a case where we have to think about regulation in the other way, which is that if HIPAA gets in the way too much, we want it to take our anonymized data and figure out your friend's diagnosis from a set of data points that could have been spied years earlier. I mean, that's what I'm really, really looking forward to.
Wow.
But I meant specifically in the world of content.
Yeah.
Oh, in the
Yeah.
world of content.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have to make content from all of that.
So I would take it, I put it into a box, I put it in the room with the content team, I'd hire everybody back, and I would have it inspire them. I would not have it solve the problem. Back to Spark. So we're working on a campaign, I don't know, to sell rocks. I have no idea. And how do you come up with that? So it would drop nuggets of knowledge, or here's what somebody did. How does that, try to inspire the group around you, around thinking and coming up with ideas. And it can massage that idea for you, but the actual idea lives with the people. That's what I would like to see. Use it for good. That's how I would use it for good content.
I mean, how great would it be to
Same with
automate
music.
every drudgery that content teams don't want to do? We were just talking about localization. What if we didn't have to worry about that anymore? Then we could serve people so much better, because then we wouldn't have to worry about if we could afford to localize content for our Chinese audiences. I mean, that all of that would go away,
Yeah.
and then you're left with nothing but the inspiration and the imagination.
I just don't want it solving I want the people to be part of